Story 1.
I've always loved camping alone, finding solace in the wild, but one weekend, I ventured deep into the woods for an adventure that would forever haunt my nightmares. It was a crisp Saturday morning when I packed up my gear and set out into the dense forest. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating a dappled carpet on the forest floor. My excitement was palpable, and I couldn't wait to disconnect from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. During my hike, I stumbled upon a peculiar mushroom, unlike any I'd ever seen. It was a deep, inky black with white speckles. My curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to take a tiny piece and taste it. It had a strange, earthy flavor that lingered on my tongue. At first, I thought nothing of it and continued on my way. As the day waned and the sun began its descent, a sense of unease began to creep over me. The woods that had once felt welcoming now seemed to be closing in. It started with subtle, hushed whispers in the wind, as if the very trees were gossiping about me. I brushed it off as the product of an overactive imagination. The real horror began as night fell. The forest transformed into a nightmarish realm. Shadows danced eerily around me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following me. I'd shine my flashlight into the inky darkness, but nothing was ever there. It was as if the woods were playing tricks on me. I decided to set up camp and build a fire, hoping it would dispel the eerie feelings I was experiencing. But the fire only added to the strangeness of it all. The flames flickered with a malevolent energy, casting grotesque, elongated shadows that seemed to twist and writhe in a sinister dance. I began to hear voices, soft and almost unintelligible, but they carried an undeniable sense of malice. They whispered things I couldn't understand, their words dripping with malevolence. It was as if the very forest was mocking me. And then I saw them, or at least I thought I did, creatures that defied any logical explanation. They moved just beyond the edge of my vision, grotesque shapes that slithered through the underbrush. They had no distinct form, just a grotesque mass of limbs and eyes. I tried to run, but my feet felt rooted to the ground, as if the forest itself held me in place. The night dragged on in a horrifying blur. Every rustle of leaves, every whisper, and every flicker of shadow filled me with dread, wondering if the mushroom had sent me into a hallucinatory nightmare from which I might never escape. As the first light of dawn broke through the canopy, the forest gradually returned to its normal state. The whispers and shadows receded, and the grotesque creatures vanished into thin air. I packed up my camp as quickly as I could and stumbled out of those cursed woods. To this day, I can't explain what happened that night. Whether it was the mushroom or some malevolent force that dwelled in those deep woods, I will never know. All I'm sure of is that I'll never venture into the wilderness alone again, for fear of what might lurk just beyond the edge of reality.
Story 2.
I had always loved the idea of solo camping. Just me, the wilderness, and the calming sounds of nature. Little did I know that my passion for adventure would lead me to a chilling encounter that would haunt me forever. One crisp autumn afternoon, I set out on a solo camping trip deep into the heart of a dense, mysterious forest. The leaves rustled under my boots as I hiked along the winding trail, feeling more and more isolated with every step. The sun was sinking, and I needed to find a place to set up camp before nightfall. That's when I saw it, a quaint little cabin nestled among the trees. It looked like something straight out of a fairy tale, with its weathered wooden walls and a chimney that puffed out plumes of smoke. My curiosity got the better of me, and I approached the cabin cautiously. As I got closer, the door swung open, and a family stood there, bathed in the warm light of the cabin's interior. They welcomed me with open arms, like they had been waiting for me. There was a father, a mother, and 2 children, all with eerie smiles that sent shivers down my spine. "Come in, dear," the mother said in a soothing tone. "We've been expecting you, My instincts screamed at me to turn and run, but the sun had nearly disappeared and the forest had grown darker. So I reluctantly entered their cabin. They offered me a warm meal and made me feel at home. But there was something off about this family. They seemed too perfect, too eager to have me there. Over the next few days, I learned more about this strange family. They had no connection to the outside world, no television, no internet, and no contact with the modern civilization. They spoke of their own world, a world free from the worries and troubles of the outside. They wanted me to be a part of it, to stay with them forever. The more I heard about their world, the more I knew I had to escape. But it wouldn't be easy. They watched my every move, their smiles never faltering. I couldn't trust them, and I knew I had to outsmart them to get away. Late one night, as I pretended to sleep in my cot, I overheard the family's whispered plans. They were going to use some mysterious ritual to bind me to their world, forever a part of their strange family. I knew I had to act quickly. The next morning, I made a show of feeling unwell and asked to go for a walk in the forest to clear my head. They agreed, but insisted on sending the father with me. As we ventured into the woods, I pretended to stumble and fall, and when the father bent down to help me up, I grabbed a nearby branch and swung it with all my strength, knocking him out cold. Panic surged through me as I realized I needed to run. I sprinted through the dense woods, my heart pounding, my breath ragged. I didn't stop until I reached the main road, where I flagged down a passing car. The driver, a kind stranger, called the police for me. I told the authorities about the cabin and the strange family, but when we returned to the forest, the cabin was gone, as if it had never existed. The police thought I was just tired and delusional from my solo camping trip. They didn't believe my story. To this day, I can't forget the eerie smiles of that family in the cabin, or the feeling that they had been waiting for me. I escaped their clutches, but I wonder if I'll ever truly be free from their strange, isolated world, forever etched in my memory as a chilling and creepy encounter that still haunts my dreams.
Story 3.
It was a crisp autumn weekend when my buddies and I decided to embark on a camping trip deep in the heart of a remote forest. We were looking forward to reconnecting with nature, roasting marshmallows, and sharing some scary stories around the campfire. Little did we know that our adventure would turn into a chilling nightmare. We arrived at the forest, pitched our tents, and soon found ourselves surrounded by towering trees and the symphony of chirping crickets. Everything was perfect until we noticed an unfamiliar face lurking near our campsite. He was a tall man with striking green eyes and a charming smile. He introduced himself as Richard and claimed he was just passing through the woods. Richard appeared friendly, and we thought it would be nice to have some company. So we invited him to join our campfire. As the night wore on, we listened to Richard's tales about the forest. He spoke of a hidden waterfall with crystal clear water and a cave filled with ancient secrets. It all sounded like the stuff of legends. We were captivated by his storytelling, and we decided to explore these places the following day. The next morning, we set off on a hike with Richard as our guide. We ventured deeper into the forest, following his lead. But as we hiked, I couldn't help but notice something off about him. His story seemed inconsistent. At one moment, he claimed to have grown up nearby, and in the next, he mentioned being a traveler from far away. We reached the waterfall, and it was as mesmerizing as he described. However, as we were enjoying the pristine beauty of the place, I noticed an unsettling tattoo on Richard's arm, a symbol that looked ancient and ominous. I tried to shake off my unease, thinking it might just be a coincidence. Our next destination was the cave. Richard assured us that it held unimaginable wonders, but as we entered, the atmosphere grew colder and darker. The air was filled with a musty smell, and the walls seemed to be adorned with unsettling carvings. It was a place that sent shivers down our spines. As we explored deeper into the cave, we stumbled upon a collection of old journals and crude drawings. The journals contained disturbing accounts of people who had gone missing in the forest, their fates unknown. The drawings depicted strange rituals and grotesque creatures. We couldn't ignore the sinister aura of the place. Suddenly, a horrifying realization struck me. The symbols on Richard's arm matched those in the cave. We tried to confront him, but he evaded our questions. his smile now seeming malevolent. Panic set in, and we decided to make our way back to the campsite, but Richard blocked our path. He revealed his true intentions, his voice a sinister whisper. He was no ordinary traveler. He was a guardian of the forest, a keeper of its dark secrets. We were now entangled in something far more sinister than we could have ever imagined. We managed to break free and sprinted back to our camp, leaving Richard behind. The night was long, filled with paranoia, as we heard strange noises in the woods. We didn't know if we'd make it out alive. At dawn, we packed our gear and left the forest as quickly as we could. We knew that we had narrowly escaped a terrible fate, but the chilling memories of our encounter with the charismatic stranger and the sinister secrets of the forest would haunt us forever. The woods held dark mysteries that were better left undiscovered, and we vowed never to return to that place again, lest we become another entry in those ominous journals.
Subscribe for more videos.